Hello everyone, and here we are with our Donkey Kong Bonanza review. This game is brand new on Switch 2 and exclusively to Switch 2, and boy does it show it. The graphics are absolutely outstanding, and one of its key features is beautifully executed. Put simply, with Donkey Kong Bonanza, Donkey Kong can smash, bash and crash his way through all of the environment, uncovering, well, everything from gold to bananas and even secret locations for even more gold and bananas. He will also be able to power himself up to smash his way through much tougher parts of the environment or even bosses. Now this game plays very much like you would expect a Nintendo game with one of its lead characters to play. You're going to have to solve various environmental puzzles. This could be everything from uncorking pipes in order to raise the sea level, to removing environmental blockers such as a strange purple goopy stuff. Once you do that, you'll be able to progress further through the level. Now, special mention must be made here of his assistant, Pauline. She starts off as a simple rock, but eventually, fairly soon into the tutorial, becomes a fully fledged small child, a 13-year-old. She has the ability to sing, and that is going to become a key part of the gameplay. Her singing does a number of things. It allows you to unlock certain special secret areas, as well as key beat moments in the story. It also allows her to point the way for Donkey Kong. So if you get lost, you can simply have Pauline sing, and musical notes will point the way to where you need to go next. Now, with Donkey Kong, you can upgrade him. As you connect those banana parts, you then get skill points. Skill points can then be used to improve almost every area of his abilities, from punching harder to being able to power up his ultimate that much quicker, or even trigger his ultimate quicker. He has to beat his chest. That amount of time it takes to beat his chest can be shortened. Now, special mention really must be made here of the environmental destruction, which is outstanding. Considering we're doing this on what amounts to a portable console, the Switch 2 hardware more than shows its ability to keep up with the action on screen. A big part of this is the voxel technology they have used, which essentially creates small cubes out of each piece of destructible terrain. This is very similar to Minecraft, but done with much higher resolution graphics and textures. The boss fights are particularly fun, as you've come to expect really from a Mario or Nintendo themed game. Now with Donkey Kong, the environment is very much used as part of those boss fights. He will have to ride a minecart whilst throwing objects into, well, as you can see, a giant furnace. He will have to use his powered up super abilities in order to defeat big bosses. And you're rewarded at the end of these sequences with a really cool piece of full motion animation, which appears to be done in game. It doesn't appear that this has been pre-recorded. Now, there are some drawbacks to this game. One of the big problems, and I say that loosely, is the frame rate can take a bit of a dive sometimes. This is especially true if there is a lot of on-screen action or if the camera is pulled back too far from the action. The developers have been very upfront about this and said yes, they are pushing the Switch 2 as hard as they possibly can, and at times you will see some small dips in the frame rate, but at no point does it tend to crash out completely, and when it does dip, it dips to around 30 to 40 frames a second. At no point is this immersion breaking. Half the time you don't even notice it because there is so much going on screen anyway. Now, when this game is docked, you are getting a full resolution from the game, but obviously when you're playing in handheld mode, you can see that the resolution of the screen and the game are not looking particularly great. That said, it doesn't detract from the fantastic gameplay on display here. Now, one bug which I think is probably going to get fixed fairly soon is when playing in co-op mode, you can also play as Pauline. Pauline rides around on Donkey Kong's back, and she has the ability to destroy terrain herself in co-op mode. However, she is massively overpowered to the point where she almost breaks the game, because whilst Donkey Kong is attempting to do his thing, destroying the terrain, Pauline is able to destroy the terrain substantially faster. So you're going to have to work in co-op to make sure that the person playing Pauline doesn't essentially wreck the thing you're actually trying to do. This may be easier or more difficult depending on the age of the child you're playing with. If you happen to be playing with a 7-year-old, you can guarantee she is going to destroy all the terrain around her, even though what you're actually trying to do was go forward. This is a minor thing, and again, I think this will get patched out. There's plenty of people talking about this online. Now, the gameplay itself is really fantastic, and the way the world's levels or layers are put together is also really clever. As you complete each area, you will then unlock what amounts to a large tunnel, which you can fall through to get down to the next lowest level. Eventually, you will complete everything on that particular segment, and you will then go to a boss fight, like the one you're seeing now. Now, these boss fights tend to take a standard Mario approach. It's a big boss, you will smash into it in a variety of different ways, sometimes using the environment, sometimes using your special abilities, and ultimately you will reduce it to 0 health, and you will then complete the level. So much, so good. There's an awful lot here to really love with Donkey Kong. I mean, this is almost like a love letter in many respects to the very best of Mario games from years past, except done with a beautiful texturing. All of the environmental detail just looks fantastic and hangs together really well. And all of the character animations also work beautifully. Everything feels tight but fluid. So if you are still sitting on the fence wondering, is Donkey Kong for you, and you've picked up a Switch 2, I have to say this is their first killer title. It is a game that we are going to be talking about for a long time to come, because very rarely do we find a game which hits all the right marks. A fantastic character, with fantastic level design, with fantastic powers, with great co-op, obviously assuming that you don't mind Pauline being incredibly overpowered, and a story that actually works really well. It's not too hammy, it keeps everything moving forward with great fluidity. Now, one thing I think we'll have to take a closer look at over time is whether the Switch 2 hardware has essentially limited this game in some respects. The Switch 2 is ultimately a portable console, and so the thermal properties have to be respected. Ultimately, that is going to mean that Donkey Kong may well not age quite as well as future games do, where obviously games designers get more experience with operating the hardware itself, optimizing the hardware, and delivering a first-class production. But with that said, this is probably one of the best games of the last 10 years, and I would expect this one to very much feature in Game of the Year awards towards the end of the year. So do please subscribe and like, and we will be back with even more Switch 2 games and many other games for PC and so on in the very near future. I hope you've enjoyed this look at Donkey Kong Bonanza.